on? Was he red? Oh, I see red. Manhands and Meatloaf, episode 12. My name's Steven, he's Mike. So we, as we are wont to do, we put a pin in a topic last episode, and in this episode we're actually going to break with tradition and get back to something we put a pin in.
We're going to do it. Taking the pin out of it.
If I remember correctly, Mike, you posted on our Facebook page or wall, whatever you call it, a comment. You made a comment about how often I cry when I watch Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, because you're always talking about how often
That's right.
you cry watching Grey's Anatomy.
And I have to say this, I haven't watched Grey's in a few weeks. It's just been busy or whatever. But for a while there, particularly last season, and I'm laughing at myself because I'm thinking about this very seriously.
And you're going to cry.
No, I'm good. But if I get into it, now here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if I were to get into the plot lines, I could get emotional.
I quit watching it. My wife still watches it.
Did it jump the shark for you?
A little bit, yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, it was like too many, traumatic, huge
Sure. That's fair.
things.
No,
I mean,
that's
it was
fair.
like,
Oh, that's fair. That might
how
be.
many times can people almost die? And then I hear there was like a plane accident.
There was.
People are losing legs. And I'm like,
Yes.
somebody's still watching this?
Yeah.
You're still watching it.
Yeah.
I don't judge. I'm sure I watch things that others would think are just silliness. So,
But there was through last season, I would say every episode from some point on in the season to the end made me cry. And I did joke about it a lot through social media because it was funny to me, but I do think about it. And last episode we were talking about movies, but this, kind of a segue, TV movie, whatever the media platform. When a moment is well crafted, and it kind of pulls in those human elements, or not, but it pulls in some human element, right? Because I think what it is that makes me cry, what it is that kind of, I guess, tugs at the heartstrings, is this idea of doing for others. That always gets me. It needs a sacrifice, whatever it might be. And then really generic stuff like, love and professions of love and love through difficulty, which I mean, obviously is relatable. Anybody in a committed relationship understands what it means to love, even when things get tough, stuff like that. So I guess what it is I take on in those moments.
yeah.
I empathize. And I am there with those characters, no matter how unrealistic the situation may be.
Right. Yeah.
So when Hawkeye in Last of the Mohicans says...
It was MASH.
no, although he makes
He's
it
like, look, hey, I'm with you on that one. That was sad.
but...
They fly off, they're leaving, the show's over.
When, as portrayed by Daniel Day-Lewis, when he makes the comment that the folks who've been killed are not strangers and they stay as they lay. Remember when they didn't bury him, so they didn't show they'd been there? That really got to me because I was thinking about feelings of loss, not being able to express. I don't know. I just I go to that moment with them immediately.
Yeah.
And I start crying.
What's the most recent Grey's Anatomy example that makes you cry?
Well, I haven't seen Grey's in quite a while. The most recent example of me crying in a movie is last night, Rise of the Guardians. Yeah.
Oh.
I sure did.
Which part? When Jack Frost...
Well, let's not spoiler it, frame. But yes, when Jack Frost is revisiting his memories.
He remembers, yeah.
Yeah.
That was touching.
And I have to tell you, too, I got a little... You ever laugh and cry at the same time? That kind of happy? I did that a little bit when the kids come out in the snowball fight at the end.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But you meant laugh and cry, like you laugh because you're crying. Like I'm watching something and it makes me kind of tear up and I start to laugh thinking, why am I reacting this way?
Oh, no. I mean like it's happy, but it's
you're
happy,
so happy
sad.
to cry.
I
don't generally... I only cry when I'm laughing like really hard.
I got you,
like
sure.
I'm laughing so hard that I can't stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a whole lot.
So let's rabbit trail for just a minute. What's the last movie you saw that made you laugh so hard you couldn't breathe?
Oh.
I know that. I know the moment. It's
For
been a
you?
while, huh?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, what was yours?
Hangover.
Really? Which
Yeah,
part?
Zach Galifianakis. So it was actually...
He's funny.
Yeah, it was actually near the beginning. when they almost crashed on the interstate heading to Vegas.
Yeah.
Parts of that dialogue, that whole bit, I laughed so hard I stopped breathing for a minute.
I laugh pretty hard every week watching Modern Family.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
They have some stuff that I have to pause it. I have to have the remote because Angela won't pause it. She would watch the whole thing stone-faced.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I get that.
She might
for sure.
smile and kind of chuckle, and I'm like guffaw, laughing, and I have to have the remote so I can pause it, go back and watch it, listen to it again.
Laugh
I
a
love
little
the
bit
episode with Phil and Matthew Broderick.
The mixed signals one, or missed signals, whatever it might be. Yeah.
I'm thinking about it right now. I'm trying to think last time I cried, like out of sadness.
Like a touching moment in a movie or TV show?
I mean, I don't think I've had one where I just, lost it, but maybe like kind of got teary-eyed.
Did the Croods have a moment that was meant to be charming or was it just straight comedy?
Yeah, at the end.
There was a little bit.
Fall for it, though.
No, but based on what I've heard you say, Toy Story 3 tugged on some heartstrings,
hey, listen,
didn't it?
That one got me. Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
That ending, dude.
Right.
That was just wrong.
Yeah.
There is absolute emotional manipulation by Pixar.
Yeah. They're good at it, though, aren't they?
Yeah. That was great because my son is only 9, and I already dread the day he leaves.
Sure, I get that.
Isn't that weird?
It's not weird, but that is not weird at all. What's interesting to me is for all of my sensitivities, and I'm an easy cry, I'm a bit of a pouter, I can be overly sensitive. For all of that working sort of against me, heretofore anyway, I have not succumbed to that sort of forward-looking reminiscence.
So you can't wait till the kids are gone.
That's right. Yeah, Jonah's actually moving out tomorrow.
Have you on record.
Surprise! Spoiler alert! Get out.
Nice.
No, not at all. But I that's one thing, and that may hit. It may come. I have a daughter as well, and there's letting daughters go and stuff.
I'd never thought about like forward nostalgia.
Because I can be that way about a lot of other things, but I guess I don't know what it is. It's a bit anomalous to me because I can.
Yeah.
I mean, I can cry thinking about the kids and like present situations, being proud of them or things they've done or things they do when they show each other a kindness, whatever it might be. So it's not that at all because I cry over the family often. But not that bit like Lori will talk about how her babies aren't babies anymore, that kind of thing.
I don't cry watching TV or movies very often.
I do more than...
It does happen. Like I said, Toy Story, I got teary-eyed. I think I watched like an episode of Lisa Ling, Our America series.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And she's kind of milking it there. I kind of got teary-eyed.
But again, she's good I'll give it to her. She's good at it, yeah.
But, you got to come. When you watch it on the Oprah Winfrey Network, you kind of know they're going to tug on some heartstrings.
So let's go. Let's return to some psychology real quick.
Okay.
Your dad and crying.
Yeah?
Have you seen, did you see it growing up?
My dad?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't think very often.
Because my dad cried all the time.
Yeah.
The three tenors?
Yeah?
Placido Domingo, Pavarotti,
sure.
and Jose Carreras. Their first concert, right? Remember the first big one that kind of broke onto the world scene?
No, but I'll say yes to keep the conversation going.
Was it the World Cup? And they did a concert, right?
Okay.
So Pavarotti's signature song was Nessun Dorma, an aria from Turandot. Anyway, I remember him hitting the last note. My dad's crying.
Really?
Yeah. Watching certain movies, comes to that end, that moment. My dad, he's tearing up. Yeah.
I have seen my dad cry. It didn't happen all the time. But now, I do cry. My son has seen me cry often.
Really?
Yeah.
Joe, have you seen me cry? Have you noticed I was crying?
Have you seen him not cry? That's good. I'm not afraid to, and I do.
But I'm curious about frequency.
Yeah.
Like if it has some bearing, you know what I mean?
Sure, it could. But I'm not afraid to. I kind of made the decision. I want him to see that.
No, totally, sure.
That it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And for me, I think for some reason TVs and movies don't always. I feel like I'm listening to someone's story, and when I think they're trying to get me to cry, I don't want to give into it. I feel like I don't want to be manipulated.
Oh, I guess
when I'm hearing someone's story like in real life, I can engage when a person is telling me their story.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm with them. And
what makes me cry without fail? This is not a visual medium at all.
Airwaves gum.
Don't want to talk about it. No, StoryCorps on NPR.
Huh.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Those little segments where they're recording stories for posterity.
Oh, yes.
Every time, without fail, I cry.
Those are some really good ones.
They are really good, but that's to your point in a way. It's not meant. It's not crafted to elicit tears. It's just a really well told story.
Yeah,
and it has that effect anyway.
Yeah, I like those. Good. So you mentioned you have a big question for me.
Yeah, I do. Well, I don't want to say big question, but going from...
you said big question. Now you're backing off the big question.
I want to talk about labels.
Labels.
So Marcus Mumford.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Lead singer of Mumford & Sons.
Right.
Recently, they were recently on the cover of Rolling Stones.
We are not talking about food labels.
No.
Okay.
They were on the cover of Rolling Stones, and Marcus Mumford, in the article, is asked by the interviewer if he's a Christian or not.
Uh-oh.
And Marcus Mumford says, "Now let me add this caveat at the beginning. I have not read the full interview, nor have I nor have I read the
following opinion is not fully informed.
Nor have I read the full article, which I'm going to mention in response to what he says. I have read the excerpt in question, as it was actually posted on Rolling Stone's website." So basically, Marcus Mumford says he doesn't like being called, he doesn't like the label and all that is attached to it. He's not comfortable being called or calling himself a Christian because of what that means to so many people today.
Okay.
Full stop, okay?
Right.
I don't know what you think yet. Hold on to it.
Okay.
There's a magazine called Relevant.
Yes.
You know Relevant?
Uh-huh.
So someone for Relevant wrote an article, I suppose in some sense, in reply to this, in which she, in some ways, says that it's a bit of a cop-out for him to do this, that to really, part of being a Christian is getting in there with community and doing the hard work of community, and that's part of being called a Christian, and that saying you don't want to be called a Christian is, I guess, in a way, kind of the easy road. Now, let me be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of Mumford & Sons, and I don't subscribe to Relevant, so my immediate response was to be dismissive of the lady's article out of hand.
But they're pretty they're on the progressive side
totally.
of things,
Yeah.
Relevant magazine.
So I thought, you know what, let me get past the knee-jerk business. Let me really think about this.
Yeah.
So I gave it a lot of thought, and I've had some thoughts, but I want to know, how does it, if I had not said the second part about Relevant magazine, what would you have thought if I just said to you, yeah, Marcus Mumford doesn't want to be called a Christian? To which you would then say...
My first response is the cynic in me says... he doesn't want to hurt record sales.
Sure.
Unfortunately. I mean, I like Mumford & Sons as well. But, I mean, I think he realizes there is a stigma that comes with being labeled a Christian musician.
Right.
That, you know, I think anyone who's listened to Mumford & Sons realizes there is spirituality being discussed in the music.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So,
right.
I mean, I don't think anybody's surprised to find out that he's a spiritual person or that he... is a person of faith, whatever that faith is, maybe we're not sure. So my first thing is, I think he wants to avoid the label because he realizes it hurts him. It hurts his image. It hurts all this thing. That's cynical, I know.
I don't think it's totally cynical, though, and this is something that we've talked about, I think, maybe even in an early episode. Derek Webb, of whom I'm a fan, has said, as I understand it, has said pretty clearly that calling music Christian music is simply a marketing ploy.
Oh, yeah.
And so
it goes both ways.
So I guess in a way that's like not reverse cynicism, but in a sense, I understand where Mumford's coming from because if you say you're a Christian artist or whatever, you don't have the chance to completely unpack that to society and say, what I really mean is
they've already pre-decided.
Right, that means a certain thing.
That's what labels do for us anyway. We kind of let people see them, and it gives them a chance to know what they're getting. I mean, it's like the cover of the book. I mean, we've kind of told them what the book's about, and so do you want to read it or not?
Which I guess where my thoughts took me was to the place where that makes sense for lack of a better term, the world. But I would think of that as believers, we would be beyond that. But I didn't mean to say the folks who, and I will yield to your knowledge here. So you guide me.
Don't.
But the earliest followers of Christ, how concerned were they really with what people called them?
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean to say? I mean, if I have my Bible quiz facts straight, followers of Christ were first called Christians at Antioch. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it was meant as a pejorative, the little Christ or whatever. And I know that I think the shorthand early believers used was followers of the way, referring to Jesus as the way. And I guess it might be good in a sense to kind of have an idea of if you have that commonality to be able to share that. But this lady's article made me think, why, as people who are attempting to follow Christ, why do we care so much about being called that? Think about that just for a second. Okay, so as I was saying, so think about this. The idea that those folks who were first to follow Jesus, so to speak, do you think they cared what they were called? Like, that's the part that kind of bothered me about what she was saying, is why do we care what he's called? If, as you say, and I agree with this, if their songwriting clearly is meant to describe or point folks towards this idea of hope and redemption and being found, all these things, why do we care what it's called?
Well, I mean, I think it gets into the thing about labels is we don't always know how everyone describes or defines those labels. I mean, different people use labels differently. So, I mean, as we talked before, on a political spectrum, you may have liberal and conservative. Well, what that means up to the person using those labels. I mean, there may be some general idea what these things mean, but these things get bandied about and the meaning gets described. So same with Christian, right? This term Christian. I mean, it has a lot that comes with it. And I think what he says, I mean, I found his quote there where he says, I don't really like that word.
Right.
He tells the writer, quote, it comes with so much baggage. So no, I wouldn't call myself a Christian. I think the word just conjures up all these religious images that I don't really like. I have my personal views about the person of Jesus and who he was. And he goes on to talk about that. And so, I mean, I get that what he's saying is, if he says, hey, I'm a Christian, right? Well, then, is life week going to try to market some of his stuff? Yeah,
and to dovetail with what we talked about a few episodes back, when I was in youth group, if I had read this when I was in my youth group, I'd have thought,
listen to him. That means they're in.
And I would have thought he was not bold enough to take a stand.
Right.
But now I see exactly where he's coming from, because
all these expectations fall on you.
That's right.
You call yourself that. I mean, I remember. people they still get mad at Bono.
That's right.
Because he wants to talk about being a Christian, but will say the F word in concert.
That's right, sure.
And people just want to get irate about. Yeah. So, why would you use that label on yourself if you're not prepared to kind of take all these expectations with it, But that being said, I mean, I feel like the guy, and we don't have the whole article here on the website. You have to pay something, I think, and I'm not going to pay it. But
I'm with you.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe say, he didn't have to give some Romans road or start quoting scripture, but he could say something about the idea of, all he says, I have my personal views about the person of Jesus and who he was.
Right.
Well, what are they?
Should he have said who he is?
Who is?
Should he have said who Jesus is, not who Jesus was? Should he have affirmed the bodily resurrection?
Well, I don't think he has to even go all that.
Sure.
I mean, he could say something else about following his teachings or something. And I was thinking back to our question about labels. Well, I mean, not so long ago, there were people in, the emerging movement that wanted to use Christ followers, right? And every trendy youth pastor in America was suddenly, a Christ follower instead of a Christian.
Right.
That's the same thing, isn't it?
Right.
Trying to avoid the baggage.
Right.
Although it's really just for Christians, because if you're not a Christian, do you really care if someone says they're a Christian or a Christ follower?
If you're not a Christian.
I mean, it's kind of like, well, I don't, I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Buddha follower.
Right.
Well, I don't know what the difference is. It sounds the same thing to me, right?
I guess to me, though, and maybe it's funny as I sit here thinking about it. Maybe this is more representative of where I am in process since doing what I used to do,
right?
Than maybe a well formed and well thought out opinion. Maybe it is reactionary, but here's my thing, right? That if I remember being in situations where people I worked with threw Harry Potter books in the trash at the daycare because this was a quote-unquote Christian church. Right? And people have asked me, how can you be a Christian and vote for?
Right.
So I have
do
that.
this. There's a million of those kind of
Right,
things.
and so and maybe those things are fresher in my mind than anything else. That's why because I think to myself, what could I say to the world that didn't make people think that I was a lifelong member of the NRA, all that stuff, that is now concomitant with being a Christian in America 2013.
Well, I don't have the problem that if Mumford wants to say, this word comes with so much baggage. I don't want to apply it to myself because it conjures up, 2,000 years of religious imagery that I'm not comfortable bearing, right?
Sure.
Which does feel a bit like, okay, he wants to be his own person,
right?
But then I guess I'm just curious if it's not being dodgy, then just give something else. Then okay, then what would you call yourself?
So let me ask you this: I know you'll know Tony Campolo.
Yeah.
Do you think his movement, the Red Letter Christians? Do you think that's contrived, or is there something to it? Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah,
he's written a book about it, and he's got a blog basically where it's.
Jesus said it because it's in red.
That's right. So it's the idea that there are believers who are trying to focus less on the politicization of the gospel and more on what Jesus actually said, as well as to maybe a social gospel, whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you think that at least is an attempt to try to not build a bridge, but at least recognize the effect of the word, what it means now, but also try to retain some honesty in terms of who we do follow? I
think of it in terms, I think the church, capital C or little one, whatever you're comfortable with, especially in America or North America. I think we're so inwardly focused, we're so internalized. So anything, whether it's Christ follower, Red Letter Christian, any kind of movement that I think that challenges people to look outside, to look outwardly, I think that's ultimately a good thing.
Sure.
But we have to recognize these are still things that only people inside the bubble
care about,
understand.
Oh, that's fair. Sure.
I give the example, talking to someone that there was a church that had the sign outside the Methodist, church, new contemporary service, non-believers welcome.
Right.
That's for Christians.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Okay, because if you're a non-believer, what does a contemporary service even mean to you?
It's for Christians who want to wear jeans to church.
Again, to use the Buddhist, I'm not familiar with much about Buddhism or Islam, or if Jehovah's Witness. So if it said new contemporary worship service for non-believers, I'm not getting anywhere close to that. I'm you know what I'm saying? Still not interested. That doesn't change anything for me, but it makes people inside the bubble feel better about it. So I guess anything that makes us think we're being more outwardly focused, I'm all for the contemporary service and the banner. If it makes people inside think we got to figure out ways to be more outwardly focused than others. And so if a label change, changing what we call ourselves, if that somehow makes us think, look, we got to quit worrying about ourselves, about these silly things that we're all worried about, then I say go for it. But if it's just some contrived, I don't want to lose listeners, and I don't want to lose customers.
So a couple things. One quick question, then I have a memory from high school. But when someone outside the bubble asks you what religion you are, what do you say?
I say I'm Christian.
You say you're Christian?
Look, everyone knows what that is.
Well, no, I'm curious because someone who is a believer, I would say, asked me what religion I was, and it was interesting because they were Christian too, so I couldn't say Christian. Yeah. So I don't know if I should go Protestant versus Catholic, if I should go evangelical.
Well, if someone within the church, if you're
you go straight denomination.
Maybe, I don't know. It depends on the context.
Sure. Yeah.
What I'm saying? It depends on where we're at.
Yeah.
But if it's someone that I don't think is a Christian, then I'll just say I'm a Christian because they know what that means.
Right.
We think about other religions. We don't know these different denominations within other religions.
That's a good point, sure.
So why would you start off with that, But,
so you're a Christian?
Sure. I am a C. I am a CH. I am a CHRISTIN.
When I was in high school, I remember getting ready to walk into class. And I don't know how this happened. I remember again this idea of moments. I remember this moment when someone turned to me and said something about, "Oh, you're a Christian." I said, "Yeah." And then they said to me, "Are you one of those born again Christians?"
Nice.
And I'm like a junior in high school, so I kind of froze.
Yeah.
Because my first thought was, "Well, yeah." I've had the whole, I grew up in Assemblies of God. I've had the whole shooting match. You know what I mean? To say altar call.
You had the works.
Yeah. If I ever told you how I got.
Did you have a vision like Stephen when this guy approached you in the hall and you?
No, I froze. I'm not sure if I even said yes or no. I don't remember what I said. So I don't know if Jesus is going to deny me before his father. If I had to guess, I'd say I probably made a joke to deflect.
I'd say that's probably right.
And hopefully Jesus will still remember me before his father. But I've already told you how
There's a term right there, a born again. So
I know.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? When does it? Sure.
I mean, that hasn't been used in probably 50 years, but.
Has it not?
I guess people still use it, don't they? I don't know.
I'm sure people on the circuit are still saying you must be born again.
Yeah, one of the born againers, which means, I guess, a fanatic. I would think it means, are you one of those fanatics?
What would you do if someone asked you today if you were born again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's so good. But I remember, it's funny to me, and I'll sort of lead the way here. It's funny to me, the parlance that I used freely that I probably would be a little more hesitant around now.
Yeah.
I remember telling the story of when I got saved, for example, how I answered the altar call. Did I ever tell you about how? Yeah. In children's church.
Yes.
Puppet ministry.
Oh.
There was a puppet named Sinister.
Oh.
Scared me to death.
Yeah.
It worked.
Scared the hell out of me.
That's exactly right. I didn't need youth group. All I needed was a puppet. Anyway, but it is funny now as I think about it, how those terms, I don't want to say they mean different things to me, but I would not play as fast and as loose with them. I don't think that I would, at this point in my life, say to someone else, are you saved? Or do you want to be saved? I wouldn't say that. I'm not saying, watch, I can hear people who know me like starting to pray for me right now.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say that Jesus is not something that we all need. It's just about, I remember having a conversation with a Lutheran minister friend of mine, talking about trying to quantify or capture that moment when the Spirit does this work inside of you.
Yeah.
How it may not be quite so, I don't know. I'm rabbit trailing pretty severe.
No, it's just a lot. There's a lot of things there to touch on, I think.
I know.
We use those terms and I think we find a lot of comfort in using terms. And so terms like "Are you saved?" That's an answer that's yes or no.
Sure, that's a good point.
Right,
exactly.
A lot of comfort when you can answer things yes or no.
Right.
And so when you're saying something,
and let me stop you. Here's what I think really gets me, because what we're really saying is, are you with me or are you?
Yeah.
Like, are you inside the line or are you outside the line?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and so. And I think you can answer that question yes or no, but I think people deserve more than just yes or no questions.
Sure.
Walk up to a stranger, are you saved? Yes. All right, see ya.
Right.
No.
Oh, you're not. Right.
Well,
sure.
In that case,
right.
I've got a multi-level marketing plan I'd like to show you.
Yeah.
I think people deserve more than just that kind of a thing.
Yeah, so hearing you say that, maybe for me what it really lies at the heart of it is the motive more than the vocabulary.
Because people can say whatever they want.
Right.
I've had people come to my door. A guy came to witness to me, whatever, and I said, I'm already a Christian. He goes, all right, well, good, but are you really? Right? And he wanted to digging deeper. He wanted me to give some verses, things to back up and whatever. And I was like, this is none of your business.
Sure.
But it makes me think that he wanted that, though. He wanted me to comfort him.
Right. Well, it's funny
hearing you move the next door.
Hearing you say that, you're making a lot of sense, and I would want to add quickly. I'd want to hasten to add that if someone said to me, "I was saved when I was 10,"
right,
and I would not say, "Are you sure?" I would sort of rejoice with that person. I'm not so sort of hardened to it all, but I do think for me, I guess you're hitting on it. That it is about motive and why are we doing that to someone? Why do we ask things that way?
Well, and I think what we do. That question. If someone asks you, are you a son?
Right.
Well, yeah, you're a son.
Sure.
But now you want to load that up with, are you a good son?
Right.
Are you all that means to be a son?
Are you the son you should be?
Exactly.
Right.
Then you get, but look, they're just simply asking, yes, you are a son. And there was a moment when you became someone's son.
Right.
Right. So it began there and it developed, et cetera, later on. But, people don't often want this kind of nuanced or descriptive answer. They just want yes or no.
I love it.
Christian or no?
Christian or no? I am a Christian. My name's Stephen. He's Mike. Listen, on Twitter at Manhands Podcast, Facebook.com, Manhands Meatloaf, iTunes. We'll talk to you soon.